Well, the Yankees have done it. They have lost home field advantage if the playoffs were to end right now. 71-40 on the season. The Astros have caught them. After that amazing start in which they were on pace for 120 wins for really a couple of months, it's all gone down the tubes. Last night was really, really tough to watch. The base running mistakes late in the game. Benintendi trying to steal third with a runner on first and nobody out. And then IKF taking off for second when he had no chance and getting caught. And the Yankees really ran themselves out of some opportunities. That's a self-inflicted defeat. Now, you got to give credit to Luis Castillo. He was phenomenal last night. Garrett Cole was also really good last night. He was pounding the fastball. He wasn't trying to do too much. He was working it in and out. He was working it up and down. He had the breaking ball. He was using the breaking ball a lot of times after he had gotten ahead with strike one to try and get that second strike and take a dominant lead in the count. And then he would work the fastball with pitch number 3. He was trying to get guys to chase out of the zone. If they wouldn't, he would come back with the breaking ball or with another fastball on the opposite side of the plate. And he was absolutely filthy last night. Unfortunately, though, the offense didn't help him. Couldn't hit after a couple of days of really getting their act together offensively. Luis Castillo completely shoved. And that's why he was the most sought-after pitcher at the deadline. Throwing strikes, filthy stuff. Just a really phenomenal pitcher. Imagine Cole and Castillo, or Castillo and Cole, back-to-back in a playoff series. Why do I mean, I love Garrett Cole. Look, I'm not one of those people who says Garrett Cole isn't an ace. But why do I always get the feeling with Garrett Cole, when he's going up against another ace, that the other team always has the better ace? I mean, I'm sure that's kind of an unfounded claim if you look at the statistics. But I always get that feeling. Yankees offense really just couldn't do anything last night. And obviously didn't help themselves with the unforced errors on the base paths. But you got a chance to take the series today. You got nasty Nestor Cortez pitching. He's going up against Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray hasn't been as dominating this season as he was last year. He is 8-8 with a 3.96 ERA. Nestor Cortez having a career year, obviously, still going for his 10th win on the season. He is 9-3 with a 2.57 ERA. And I think after a night of seeing hard fastballs, he's going to be a little bit tricky for the Mariners. They're going to have to adjust to the timing and the funky deliveries. One thing I'm not looking forward to is hearing Robbie Ray grunt on every pitch like he did last year. I haven't watched him pitch this year, but I assume he's still doing it. And I know why he does it. Science has shown that when you grunt, when you're exerting yourself throwing a pitch, you can get more velocity. But I'm tired of these West Coast games. Yankees have an earlier game today. They're at 4 o'clock. Game should be over by about 7:30, and I'll be on with a post-game recap. I'm really looking forward to this series in Boston. I feel like the Yankees are going to go into town and wreck shop. I know that's an odd thing to say after a tough loss, but they've played pretty well against Boston this year, and they generally play pretty well with that monster. Giancarlo Stanton coming back, Anthony Rizzo coming back. Now, both of those guys might kind of struggle out of the gate because sometimes it can take you a day or two to get back in the swing of things. I don't think that Giancarlo Stanton has had any rehab games. I don't know if he's going to have any rehab games. He probably doesn't like to have rehab games. With the level of the facilities that they have now, they have these pitching machines that can simulate live pitching like you wouldn't believe. It's like virtual reality almost. You got a digital pitcher that can copy any motion, and then the ball comes out at the normal speed that a major league pitcher would throw. It can throw curveballs. So he might be one of those guys who's just comfortable hitting in the cage to get ready. And then obviously defensively, he's not going to play a ton of defense coming right back off that Achilles injury. But I'm sure he can just shag some flies in the outfield in batting practice and things like that if he needs to keep the legs loose. Miguel Andujar, 1 hit last night. It was a bloop single, 3 strikeouts. You have to think he might be the odd man out when Giancarlo Stanton comes back off the IL. Man, I keep thinking about that Benintendi play. I just keep thinking about Benintendi taking off there before the pitch was delivered. And there was just this feeling. It's kind of like when you're in an elevator and it drops a little bit too fast and you get that rush in your stomach like, oh no. Every once in a while on a baseball field, something happens where you know that there's no possible good outcome. Somebody gets picked off and they're in a rundown and you got 2 good defenders on either side. They're not getting out of it. It's just a train wreck in slow motion. But it's time to put it behind us and really focus on some other things. So I want to talk about some minor leaguers real quick. First, let's talk about Jason Dominguez. He's cooled off a little bit as of late, but still having a very nice season. 263 average, 371 on-base percentage, 804 OPS between 2 levels, 11 home runs, 44 ribbies. Now, he's a switch hitter, and the splits are interesting. Versus lefties, he's hitting 221, so he'd be hitting from the right side. When you're a switch hitter, you hit righty against lefties and lefty against righties. So against lefties, he's hitting 221. He's got 2 home runs, although he's hit a couple of them. Recently, he hit one in the Futures game right-handed. But against righties, he's hitting 280 with 7 home runs and 30 ribbies. He's struck out 70 times from the left side of the plate and 19 times from the right side of the plate. And that might sound a little bit abnormal, but keep in mind that you face righties a lot more than you face lefties. So he's had 207 at-bats versus righties with the 70 strikeouts and 68 at-bats versus lefties with the 19 strikeouts. Roderick Arias, the 17-year-old who was the #1 international prospect that the Yankees signed this winter. Another switch hitter. He's had 78 at-bats in the Dominican Summer League where he's hitting 231, but that's not the story. The story is the 866 OPS already. In 78 at-bats, he's got 3 home runs, he's got 4 doubles, he's got 2 triples. He's also walked 22 times and struck out 28 times. So he's got a very good eye. 7 stolen bases, caught twice. So you can see right there some of the raw talent. He's obviously hitting the ball hard if he's already got, 9 extra base hits in 78 at-bats, 21 games. As a 17-year-old, that's impressive. That's only going to get better. Imagine where he's going to be when he's 20, 21. He's a shortstop. Word around the campfire is that he's very good defensively. He's a bit raw, but he's got a tremendous arm. Anthony Volpe, having a pretty good year. His numbers are rounding into form, hitting 250, but after a really slow start, you'll take it. 16 home runs, 53 RBIs, 37 stolen bases. I've noticed that his stolen base tally hasn't changed much recently. He's kind of been stuck on that number. When you break down by month what Anthony Volpe has done, it's pretty interesting. 197 batting average in April. It was frigidly cold. In May, 207. June, 298. July, 296. Now August, slumping. Just 6 games so far, but he's hitting 200 with 1 home run and 4 ribbies. And he has not stolen a base. I'm looking at the wave files on my screen, and it looks like I'm talking like William Shatner, just kind of sporadically saying words, but it's just because I'm reading a spreadsheet and all the numbers are kind of mushed together. My eyes aren't what they used to be with all this staring at computer screens and phones over the last couple of years. I probably should go get my eyes checked. I probably need to. My brother started wearing glasses when he was around 40. My parents both wear glasses. So I probably need to go get it looked at. Somebody on the chat the other day said I was dyslexic because I kind of read names wrong sometimes when I'm pulling them up on the screen. But you have to understand, it's really small on my screen from where I'm dragging them to the main viewing area that you're seeing. Behind the scenes, it just doesn't look like it looks like on your screen exactly. And so my eyes not being what they used to be, sometimes I just don't see things very well. So during the dog days of summer, like you're seeing right now, especially after the trade deadline, baseball traffic kind of starts to die down a little bit. So this felt like a good time to make the move to where we expand to Blue Wire. And that's why you're getting more videos like this one, because I'm trying to add to the audio platform and not use up my entire day doing video. So what you're watching or listening to is this new segment that I'm calling Hey Listen. And it's just a way to kind of supplement the content during a time of the season in which there's not a lot of roster moves going on. There's not a lot of interest among anyone other than the diehard fans like yourself. And so it's a time for me to also experiment. And this is a segment that's easy to produce for me. And it doesn't require a lot of writing or a lot of video production. I kind of built this template to work. And my intent is to have more of these long form, I guess, riffs. I don't want to say rants, but I'm sure there will be some rants. Monologues would be another way to describe it. A couple of times a week. And we talk about the ongoings with the team. Maybe check out a few minor leaguers. Might get off topic from time to time. But it's something that will add to the audio platform. And it's something that can give the people who've supported this channel on YouTube all season continued additional content at a time where, honestly, physically, I'm starting to get worn down, my hands and all that stuff from the, by this point in the season, I've done so many videos that my hands are essentially being iced all day long. And so I kind of wanted to create a format where I could just have something that's more than just like a standard still image. I know some people will just put like a still image or just like some audio waves on the screen while they go on their riffs. But I wanted to have a little bit more substance than that. Be able to drop in, player highlights as I talk about certain players. And then when that dips away, still have something in the background that's worth looking at. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm seeing a lot more voicemails lately. It's clear that when the Yankees are struggling, interest in voicemails skyrockets. Look, if you're watching baseball and watching the Yankees, who are struggling every single night this late into the season, you're obviously a real fan. You don't need me to tell you that. And so those people are getting more and more invested, and they want to make their voices heard. And I don't blame them. So now that the Yankees have lost home field advantage, they have something to play for at least. They have one game against the Mariners left. Then they're off on Thursday the 11th. Then they go to Boston. Got 3 in Boston all-night games, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then beginning next week, you got the Rays, you got the Blue Jays, and then you got the Mets at home. And then the next off day is on the 24th. That Mets series is going to be hopping. Mets have been playing very, very well. And then the Yankees are back out on the West Coast. You got the A's on the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. And then the Angels on the 29th through the 31st. And then you're back across the country to Tampa Bay before coming home for a homestand against the Twins and then the Rays again. And then you got 2 off days in a week sandwiched around a 2-game Boston series. And then the Yankees head to Milwaukee to play the Brewers. That'll be fun. You never get to see that ballpark. Day off on September 19th. And then you got a homestand, the Pirates, the Red Sox for 4. And then you're up to Toronto. It'll be interesting to see if Benintendi is able to play in that series. If you're fighting for home field advantage, I want him in that series. So I hope he gets the needle. And on the 29th, the Yankees are off. And then September 30th through October 2nd, you got the Orioles in town. And then the Yankees finish off with a 4-game set at Texas that includes a doubleheader on Tuesday, October 4th. That's a tough stretch over these next couple of months. But I'll be here with you, going through every pitch, watching every swing of the bat, and hoping along the way that the Yankees can figure out a way to regain home field advantage and to take it on into the playoffs because, and we had a good comment on this. Somebody said that it seems like the fans consider home field advantage more important than the teams do. And that may be true. But I really do think that home field advantage is huge. Go back to 2017, the Yankees won all 3 games at home, and they lost all 4 on the road. You know? It can make a big difference, especially with the walk-offs that the Yankees have had this year. They walked off Houston a couple of times, but they couldn't do anything in Houston. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe somebody will knock off Houston, but I don't think so. I think the road to the World Series is going right through the Astros. And it's going to be us or them. Toronto looks pretty good. They're swinging the bats better. But I think the Yankees can handle Toronto. We're going to find out soon. Houston still scares the crap out of me. It's going to be an interesting ride. Stick around.